How's it going, everybody? Winter Kills here. Welcome back to another quarantine live testing duel here with a friend of mine on the right, John, playing some pure Mekks. Recently picked the deck up, and we met up the other day with another friend and decided we'd film a few testing matches post duel overload and, of course, Master Rule 5 settings, since those are pretty much the only things on the horizon for Yu-Gi-Oh! At the moment. So I do want to preface this video, though, that there may be a few misplays on my behalf, maybe on both of our behalves, but we do try our best to help each other make the most optimal plays. Keep in mind, I'm just getting back into DDD after maybe like a month's break, so my brain is a bit rusty, trying to dust off said rust, and I'm still trying to learn a lot of the combo sequences. You might see me forget a few effects, things like that, but overall, trying to nail combo lines with this deck. It's very, very difficult, DDD. You might have heard other people say that DDD is a hard deck to play, and that's because it is. There's so many varying combo lines, and one misstep and one misuse of an effect can turn what would have been a very good board into a very, very suboptimal board. So, as you can see here, going into the Needle Chief now, of course, fresh out of Duel Overload. Still don't have my actual copies yet, as it is the 18th when I'm recording this, so the set hasn't officially dropped yet. Monster Reborn, though, coming in very, very clutch here to get into an easy Needle Chief. Then going into Gilgamesh here and going for the Chaos King Apocalypse and the Abyss Ragnarok. Now, I do take 1,000 here in the game, but I actually forget about taking the 1,000 from Gilgamesh's effect in the actual live duel. As you see, I have it tracked up there on the life points, but I completely forgot that effect actually burns you in real life. So I'm technically in my brain still thinking I'm at 6,000 because of the Where Art Thou that I played at the beginning of the turn. Now here I'll take another 1,000 though from the effect of Abyss Ragnarok. Once that Swirl Slime brings that Kepler out to the field. Now why did I bring that Kepler out in the field? Strictly because I need a level 1 on board that is a non-tuner. So during my opponent's turn I can use Needle Chief to bring out that Shooting Riser Dragon, which will come out as a level 7 tuner, which will allow me to synchro into Borreload Savage Dragon. And Borreload Savage Dragon, of course, will require a link in my graveyard to be able to get that Borrel counter on. And how do I got to do that? I've got to get Gilgamesh to the grave somehow. So you'll see my target change here, though, for the summon off of the Abyss Ragnarok. Instead of going for the Genghis, I go for Lamia, and then I bring out Chaos King Apocalypse by banishing 2. Banishing Ghost. Ghost brings back that monster to the graveyard, that Genghis, and then you'll see me here send away the Gilgamesh for the Lamia, just because I need that engraved. Now, one thing I did forget to use was the other effective ghost that it has when it hits the graveyard to be able to send a DD or Dark Contract that's from my deck that's already in my grave. So I can basically just send another copy of any card. So during the main phase, he'll pass priority to me, and I will use Needle Chief and resolve its effect. Which, actually, looking back, I don't know if it needs to be like an open game state. I think that's only for certain cards to not miss timing, such as like Formula and the Hot Red Calamities. So I think I still could have technically done the Needle Fiber play in response to something, which I think is fine. Because I think Needle Fiber actually does need to be activated in response. Well, not entirely, because then cards like Formula or whatever wouldn't be really viable off them, and we've seen them actually be viable. They just have to be activated sort of in open game state, if you will. So that'll allow me to get into the Borreload Savage Dragon, and if I have any of that ruling mixed up, please feel free to inform me on how some of this Needle Fiber stuff works, because I'm still relatively new, still learning, and if anybody else has a good bit of information they want to share down in the comments during this long testing match video, feel free to do so. Because you're not only helping me, but helping out a lot of other people as well. So he has Pinpoint Landing and he has Blue Sky, and the importance of that Pinpoint Landing is really it's going to allow him to chain block his Blue Sky. So I can't negate it with the Borreload Savage Dragon, unfortunately, because it'll be chain link 1 blue, chain link 2 Pinpoint. Pinpoint I've never really liked too much in Pure Mekk Knight, but I find like with more testing that the card is actually not terrible. I mean, keeping up more resources in your hand mid-combo is actually very, very nice. Same reason why I like cards like Aperia and Upstart within the deck, because they help you make columns, and they essentially replace themselves with more cards for you to work with. Because when you're constantly discarding for whether it be Nightmares or for your Morning Star, or constantly putting big bodies on the field, some of which remove themselves, like purple, it's nice to have cards that replenish your hand mid-combo that are very, very easy to activate. So you see here, it's going to go ahead and banish that blue sky for purple. And go ahead and add the Avram, which will soon probably be like functionally replaced once Mekk Knight Orcus Girsu comes out, because I really don't see an option or a reason rather for Avram really to be played, unless, like, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of niche build where you could still run it in, but I think Girsu ultimately will replace Avram. Unfortunately, the check this out might not be too relevant much more later on. So he used the send effect of Ding. I'll have to negate with Borreload Savage. He puts the Avram in the grave, luckily with that Link Spider play, giving him banish fodder for that Red Moon, which is going to clear the Siegfried. And Siegfried upon destruction will allow me to gain 1,000 life points for each face-up Dark Contract or face-up, Dark Contract card that I control. Which I do control that Dark Contract with the Gate, and basically allow me to gain an additional 1,000, bumping me back up to 5k after taking a lot of damage during my last turn. 2,000 from Werewolf, 1,000 from the Gilgamesh and the Ragnaroks, respectively. So, quite a bit of damage, leaving me only at 5k, technically 4k going into the next turn, like I've used Destrudo or something. But you'll see here, he's going to get that Search of the World Legacy Secrets trap off of the Morningstar. Now at this point, he just has to worry about getting over the large body that is a Borreload Savage, which I believe is sitting at 3,900. Mekk Knights tend to have some issues with getting over large monsters, especially if it's a turn that is reliant on a card like World Legacy's Memory, because that does lock you into only Mekk Knights, so you are very reliant on seeing cards like Mind Control or Instant Fusion to get over big monsters. Luckily, he has Mind Control in this case, which will allow him to link everything that he had there into a Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos link, coming out at 3k. So he'll be able to remove quite a few cards this turn. He's going to run over the Lamia. That will get banished since it was special summoned via its own effect the previous turn. And then since BLS did destroy something by battle, he'll be able to banish my contract as a result. And then swing in 26 direct with the Dingirsu. So I get lucky here and top deck Dark Contract for turn, which is insane. I mean, that's just luck right there. And I feel like that is still the best thing to hit with the BLS is the Dark Contract, specifically because you're literally getting rid of a free search that I would have otherwise. So this turn I'm forced to start with the normal summon of Lamia and then follow up with that search, or not search, but follow up with the Dark Contract of the Swamp King. Now, the reason I really do like Dark Contract of the Swamp King in this deck, and I've always loved in this deck, is it's just a great card to like see late game to make really powerful fusion plays, and it's also great sometimes when you don't have access to Swirl Slime. So here he's going to preemptively activate Secrets and Memory, and he's going to do it for good reason, because he knows that I have the capability at the start of my turn here to bring out the High Flame King Genghis, which at any point can have the opportunity to negate a spell or trap that my opponent is activating. So I could easily turn off either of the cards that he just tried to activate. So he's going to go ahead and preemptively activate them right now. But the one problem with his board placement currently is he has that Dingirsu in the extra monster zone. I feel like if there's ever a time to have a non-Mekk Knight monster on your board, it's important to really watch out where that positioning is, because now that Indigo Eclipse cannot slide over to where the Dingirsu would need to be, where another monster might be. Like I'm been trying to make a powerful Link monster there, and he really has no way to turn it off. So I'm going to summon out the DD High Wave King Caesar Ragnarok, whatever its name is, the Monster 3200 Fusion. That will trigger the effect of Ragnarok to bring out Siegfried. And I would have a lot more plays here, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a moment, because I'm trying to make a Cross Sheep play, because I still have a Necro Slime in Graveyard, but I also need to keep this Lamia in grave as well. Now, had I remembered to use Ghost's Graveyard effect the previous turn, I think I would still be able to make the play that I'm trying to make, which you'll see what that is in a moment. Because I'm trying to get into Crystal Wing, because Crystal Wing would be a very, very good card to have right now. So I'm going to link those two into Cross Sheep. And at this point, I use Necro Slime, and I'm forced to banish my Siegfried, which is very, very unfortunate. Because if I would have had another monster engraved from Ghost's effects, which I completely forgot about, on this Lamia summon, I'd be able to trigger Genghis to bring back Siegfried. And not only would I be able to do that, you know, going to this Meteor Burst that I'm about to go into, but I'd have the Siegfried protection also. And had I would have placed the Siegfried underneath where the Cross Sheep is, I could have turned off that memory, or World Legacy Secrets rather, and then I wouldn't have to have him worry about being able to negate my Meteor Burst like you see him doing right now. So again, these are just small little interactions that make the world of difference sometimes, that even in like a testing match like this can easily be forgotten. So I do go into the battle phase here and attempt to use the effect of the High Caesar Ragnarok, which I attempt to attack the purple. He tries to chain purple, I negate with Crystal Wing, he protects with Dingirsu, and then as a result, I take a monster that he's not declaring an attack on. So I get to take the Dingirsu. Now it looks like I declared the attack on Dingirsu, which I technically did, but I didn't realize that had that effect where you can't take the battling monster. So either way, it doesn't make too big of a difference other than this scenario. Crystal Wing will attack over the purple and he'll take 3k. So basically, I have on my field right now the original Borreload and the original, in quotes, Boral Sword. It takes whatever it's attacking, sort of, and you deal 3k whatever you're attacking over, sort of. So yeah. I would be able, though, if I had remembered that ghost effect, to have Siegfried on the field still at this point, which, granted, would be pretty nice to have, because during the start of his turn, I could turn off that secret again, and my Crystal Wing would still be live to provide an additional interruption. Now, how impactful would that be? I'm not entirely sure, but would have been somewhat helpful. As you can see, that Blue Sky returns during the standby phase, and he's going to put it in that column that Crystal Wing is, essentially turning it off, and then he's going to special summon that Indigo in that column that Cross Sheep and the High Wave Caesar is in. And he'll be able to get a draw an additional card off that as well. Essentially, that Mekk Knight monster replacing itself thanks to that pinpoint landing. Now, I believe in his hand he does have another World Legacy Succession, because I believe his build is playing 2 copies, which I understand why. And there's that very crucial Gamma Seal. Gamma Seal, by far, one of the best cards, in my opinion, to play within Mekk Knight. And if you're worried about Wind Barrier statue shenanigans, then you could easily swap for Gidarla as a win, so you will not have to worry about being locked out of special summoning it like you would with Gamma Seal. So those are just some options. As you guys saw in the testing match that I posted yesterday, how powerful that Lunalight Wind Barrier combo is very efficient. Something we may need to watch out for in future formats whenever the competitive scene of YGO gets back underway. So basically, he has game right here anyways, thanks to that Kaiju, and my Cross Sheep only being 700, so that's an early end to game 1. I did preemptively end it here in post because I didn't realize that I was down an additional 1,000 from that early Gilgamesh. Forgot that life point cost, and it actually did matter there because the game technically would have ended in that battle phase. So cutting it short there, and we're heading into game 2 where I'm going to have another opportunity to go first and another chance at trying to set up this first turn combo, which consists of the rank 6 DDD, the Wave Caesar, the Needle Fiber plate into Borreload Savage with the Curse King Siegfried. At this point, I also want to mention real quick a shout out to Imperium Duelist. If you guys are interested in this playmat that we're using, you can find this playmat and many more like it. High quality 2-player cloth mats on their website, as well as some amazing sleeves for tournament use. Some amazing illusion effects sleeves for more casual use, some amazing deck boxes, dice, and things like that on their website. So check them out down in the description below, a link to their site and a discount code WinnerKills10off, which you can use to save 10% off your entire order. So with the release of Dual Overload, there's so many more ways to play this deck now. It gets a little bit difficult, especially for me who hasn't played the deck in a little while. So he'll have the response there on that Needle Fiber summon. It is Phantasme. I'm gonna fusion here using the Ghost and the Swirl Slime, and I forget the Ghost effect again, which I would have loved to use here to send another Necro Slime or another Lamia to the graveyard, but it is what it is. And you'll see me go into the Gilgamesh. I'll take that 1,000 here, which I don't actually remember to take in real life, but remembering to put it up here on the life point board. But yeah, game 1 made almost a very, very close comeback there, just shy of game. If I would have been able to have that Siegfried on field, maybe that game would have meant entirely in my favor. So take the results of this match with a grain of salt, if you will. Again, these are just testing matches. This is a bit of a longer video, so I'm here to talk about ideas I have with the deck, interactions between both decks and things like that. But I've been talking a lot about all the new cards for the DDD deck, but of course in the Pure Mekk Knight deck, mainly the new card they're working with is Lib the World Blade Master. Lib the Key World Blade Master. Such an incredible card to be able to go into with the deck for recurring resources and also removal. So here is a interesting play that happened. I was trying to work out this really difficult play line, and basically it resulted me into having to wait really late to use this Genghis effect. Now I'm going to use it on the summon of that Gus King, which will bring back the Genghis, and then Gus King will bring back that level 1 monster that I need. And again, had I remembered to have Lamia, you know, an additional Lamia in the graveyard off of Ghost effects, I might have been able to make the Siegfried here. As you can see, I still have Chaos King Apocalypse in my scale, which I would have been able to possibly use to make Siegfried with. But then again, I think I might have been short maybe 1 card here. I'm not entirely sure. But as you can see, I do have the opportunity to be able to at least get into the rank 6 this time around. And on top of that, Borload Savage Dragon. Of course, Needle Fiber does get banished. And there was a cut there, though, because there was a lot of cut out thinking and conversing, trying to actually make the play line work and finding what that play line actually was. So as you can see here, I use Shooting Riser Dragon to send. I believe I sent Thomas, which I don't think I actually can do. I think that was a bit of a mistake on my behalf. But the thing is, if you chain Shooting Riser's, both of Shooting Riser's effects, and there's the Dark Ruler no more. If you chain both of its effects, you can get the send effect and the synchro effect without the level actually being modified in the first place. So that's one thing to take into account. For those that might be playing Shooting Riser up and coming with the release of Needle Fiber, is that if you chain both of those effects, you can still synchro, it'll still keep its level 7 level, and you'll still get to send an additional card to the graveyard because it won't be on field to have its level be modified at that point. So that's really nice to know. So he links into Morningstar here, gets that draw off Pinpoint Landing. Since I do have, I have no option not to give him a column here. Several free columns to work with. That's just the nature of DDD. I would say this deck has a pretty bad matchup against Pure Mekk Knights, strictly because of the pendulum scales and the continuous spells, and the amount of monsters the deck can put out. You're gonna leave a column at some point. There's really no unavoidable way here, I think, to get out of that column scheme, unless I would have summoned Chaos King Apocalypse here at the end of my turn in order to, possibly remove that option, but it's just not worth losing that potential extender later on. So yeah, right now on board, as it stands, he has to worry about a 3,900 Borload Savage, the 2,800 Wave Caesar, and of course the 2,500 Gus King. So again, Mekk Knights sometimes will struggle with getting over things of 2,500 or more, just by themselves. So will oftentimes require a bit more stopping power, if you will, a little bit more removal power in the forms of non-Mekk Knight things in the extra deck or within the main deck. But all that hard thinking really, of course, going to waste thanks to that Dark Ruler no more that he ended up seeing, I believe, off of his Pinpoint Landing, or not Pinpoint Landing, but off maybe his draw for turn. Got very lucky in seeing that card. One card, though, speaking of Dark Ruler no more, one card I had particularly thought about siding is the Dark Contract with a Witch, because if you do have Siegfried on field and you do activate Dark Ruler no more, you can chain that Dark Contract with a Witch as he summons out red to destroy the Caesar. That'll allow me to search a contract though, which is pretty nice for a nice rebuttal for next turn. But if they do Dark Ruler you can chain Dark Contract with the Witch, and then chain Siegfried to Dark Contract, thus negating the Dark Ruler no more, targeting the Dark Ruler no more and negating it, since you're not activating Siegfried in direct response to the Dark Ruler no more. So that is something I was thinking about siding in, particularly for games 2 and 3, is the Dark Ruler no more, because that does absolutely dumpster this deck, and having that trap card, which is searchable off of Kepler, would be pretty nice to have, because it does not only does it give you a possible interruption for the discard effect it has, but it can give you the opportunity to be able to have a chance to negate Dark Ruler no more which is very, very nice. Same thing if you have Borreload Savage Dragon as well. Or no, not Borreload Savage Dragon. I believe Siegfried would be the only way you could work around that, but Siegfried is still pretty easy to make regardless. As you see, he links into the World Keymaster, allowing him to set a secrets. He's going to go into the battle phase, attack over for 500 with that Blackluster Soldier link, banishing the Borreload Savage, and then swinging in for 2k with the Keymaster. And then I believe main phase 2 here, he still has another option. And I believe he actually does end up linking both of these, into Avermax, and that of course will trigger the Keymaster's effect to shuffle a card back in the field into the deck if it is used for link material. So we'll put back that Ragnarok into the deck. So that'll basically, if I need that extender, it's going to force me using my one search, getting that extender back. Because you really can't leave both of those cards there with the Chaos King Apocalypse on the field. Because I can just summon that out, trigger the Ragnarok, and then summon out another card and keep going from there. But yeah, like I said, there's going to be a few misplays here and here with these testing matches, especially with me playing DDD. Bear with me. Again, still learning as best as I can. Now going to use, I believe, Necro Slime here. And again, this is another one of those situations where he's going to want to preemptively activate his one secrets, because I know he has it, before I get the High Flame King Genghis on the field. Because at this point, he really only has one card for me to be able to negate, and that is secrets. So he's getting that activated before that Wave Caesar, or that High Flame King Genghis hits the board, and he's also putting his Indigo into that extra monster zone. So if I do try to put something in there like Cross Sheep, which I believe is the only link monster left in my deck currently, it won't be able to activate so long as Indigo is there. So now I'm going to use Swirl Slime to summon out the Ragnarok that I believe I drew for turn. And I believe I'm going to use Chainlink 2 High Flame King Genghis, Chainlink 1 Ragnarok, and I believe each targeting one targeting the Lamia and the other targeting the Gust King. So he's trying to choose carefully here what to negate. He's going to choose the one that stops the Lamia from coming out, but instead stopping the one that is going to bring out the Gust King, because at that point he sees that Crystal Wing will be much easier to access if he doesn't stop the one that's bringing out Gust King, because essentially that will give me my level 7 Synchro, which is going to be a lot harder to get out than just, the level 1 tuner. So at this point, I'm banishing 2 now for the Chaos King Apocalypse, and it's the Siegfried, or not the Siegfried, but the High Wave Caesar, the rank 6, and Gilgamesh. Now going to Synchro into Siegfried. Now at this point, I could use Siegfried's effect here to turn off secrets, which I just don't. I'm not entirely sure why. But there's another problem here. And that problem is the fact that he has Avermax. And in order to use Avermax's effect, or High Wave Caesar Ragnarok, the High Wave King Caesar Ragnarok, it's just a mouthful of words for this card, I have to attack, I basically have to take the monster that it's not battling. So at this point, I would have to attack Indigo to take it. But Avermax says I can only attack Avermax. So functionally, I cannot use this card's effect right now, and I didn't even realize that fully. And the only card I'm now realizing at this point, especially post-commentary, as I'm, making this video for you guys, is the fact that Kali Yuga is pretty much the only card at this point that I would have in the DDD pool that would really get me out of the situation that I'm in. That or Dingirsu, which would be able to send away the Avermax, which of course allow him to spin a card. It would be a very important card to have in the arsenal here, since I have quite a few level 8s on the board. You see, I go into a rank 8 play, and it's Hope Harbinger, which is just kind of redundant since I already have Siegfried onto the field. So I think going forward, as much as I really don't like Kali Yuga in a going first build of DDD, I think I am going to play it going forward. I know so many people got, didn't understand or got upset with the reason I wasn't playing Kali Yuga, which I feel like you have to kind of understand a little bit. In a going first deck, a going first combo deck, the card oftentimes will never ever come up. And is at best decent against a lot of backer heavy decks, which really aren't a major part of the meta right now, I would say. But I think just for having that stopping power, that late game stopping power or mass removal, I think Caliuga is probably going to make its way back into my extra deck, because right now it would probably just actually seal me the game. And like I said, again, take for, you know, with a grain of salt, the outcomes of this match, because there's probably a lot of things that both of us aren't seeing. So as you see, he's resolving, I believe, blue sky for 2 again, and then using purple for indigo. So getting a massive amount of advantage to his hand currently. And at this point, with me only having 3,500 life points left, the only obstacle he has to worry about is that Hope Harbinger, which can redeclare attacks, which could prove to be somewhat problematic when trying to OTK through this board. Of course, Avermax has the ability to get over anything on my field, but he needs to be able to push for a little bit more damage. So if you can clear with Red Moon that Hope Harbinger, it would be very, very beneficial for him to do so. So he's going to summon out Indigo and draw 1 card off of the Pinpoint Landing, which I had the opportunity to negate, but there's just real no reason in negating it. It's not that high of an impact card. Realizing he can't summon purple there is going to put it in a column where he could legally summon it. Now, following that play up with a World Legacy Succession, I have the Hope Harbinger in a zone where I can negate it, since there's not a Mekk Knight there. So he'll chain Indigo to be able to move purple over to it to negate the Hope Harbinger, and thus allowing the succession to go through. Now, I don't know if if Siegfried would even have like a window to respond to the succession, since it would be like chainlink 2 Indigo, chainlink 1 or chainlink 1 succession, chainlink 2 Harbinger, chainlink 3 Indigo. And since it moved out of the way, like, I don't know if Siegfried would still have the opportunity to respond there. I don't think it would. That's just like kind of a educated guess, I would say. But either way, he's gonna go into Dingirsu here, actually, which is a card he's found, you know, to have a, you know, really served a good purpose within the extra deck of Mekk Knight. And basically, from there, you know, he doesn't even really, like, the game is just over at that point. There's really no need to continue any further. Sending away the Hope Harbinger, he's basically just going to run over the fusion for 3k. And then at that point, you know, he just really needs to go into the battle phase with any other link monster like Borosword or whatever it may be, and the game will just be over from there. So Pure Mekk taking the match 2-0, and again, I feel like I didn't make the best plays, for sure. Still learning the deck 100%, and always striving to improve. So once, you know, everything has been learned on my behalf, and I get a little bit more acclimated with DDD, because I really do have like a lot of fun with this deck. I just get a little frustrated with myself sometimes when, you know, certain combos don't come together as easy as I feel like they should. But yeah, of course, a special thanks to my Tier 3 YouTube members, Academic Thick, Travis Harris, and Ty, for helping making videos like these possible, and overall supporting the channel and going above and beyond. So I really do appreciate you guys' support. It does mean a lot and helps keep me going for sure. Hope you guys enjoyed this long match. You guys have to look forward to some Pure Mekk Knight stuff coming up, post-dual overload, DDD stuff, photon stuff, things like that. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And as always, guys, Winterkill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.